This is Jonathan St. James, and you're listening to The Truth is Still Straight podcast. All right, folks, for those of you listening, this is Jonathan St. James. And as the applause winds down, I will tell you I'm home alone, but I am not Macaulay Culkin. And still, The Truth is Straight podcast. I missed the is there, but that's okay. You know what I was trying to do. Trying to deliver the truth as factual as it can be. And we'll see how close we get to that today. So before we start, I just want to say we miss those who haven't been able to show up on the show. That's Dawn, Donnie St. James, and then missing currently is the Don Marie and Jim. Okay. Don't fault them. They have other obligations. Okay. All right. Take it easy, folks. Take it easy. Stop. Be quiet. All right. So, yeah, before we go on, as I said, I want to give a shout out to those who support the show. And those, of course, as usual, Tatiana and Pedro Falcone. Hopefully you're listening as soon as it comes on. If not, soon enough. But I thank you for your support. I thank you for everyone else who has supported the show. For those of you who I don't mention and you do listen regularly, shoot a comment to me and I will definitely make sure that I always acknowledge, because I appreciate everyone's support, whether it's 24 or 2004. But I appreciate all the support. So we're going to get into the show. The topic for today is going to be a tricky one because it's going to be based on using a reaction video, but I'm just going to use that as a talking point to what I really want to say. And the reaction video is going to be getting laid versus getting paid, rules of modern dating and understanding women from its complicated channel. And they do these videos, of course. So I would like to get into that and talk about the topics that I would love to talk about. And let's get over to the video now. So let me just change this format here and get started. All right, play the video.
What's your astrology sign?
Well, actually, related to asking about somebody's zodiac sign, doesn't that give false expectations?
No, they are true every time.
100%.
Oh, 100%. I like maybe 99, but like really close.
You trust a Leo and then boom, they're self-absorbed.
Boom, done.
Well, no, I'm just saying because a lot of people say, you know, you can't generalize because everyone's different, and I would just wonder why people would ask about zodiac signs.
I think everyone's different except for astrology signs.
I think that's everyone's the same.
So that's funny. I want to stop it there first and foremost. I'm not sure how much they talk about astrology, but they believe that astrology is extremely accurate. But if that was the case, then people would be married. They'd be very successful in everything that they did because the horoscopes would tell them exactly, or the profiles or whatever it is that they're using to get these assessments would be accurate 100% of the time. And then they wouldn't need to meet people and get to know them and stuff like that. They can just go by their horoscope, astrology sign, excuse me. And that's a problem because we know a lot of people are single, even the ones who use astrology. So astrology is not an effective means to really meet people. They take some assessments based on what I'm not 100% sure. Most people do say there's a level of accuracy, so I won't debate that. But the one thing for sure is I'll go back to the video.
I feel like they want to see if they're compatible. A lot of people are and believe in the whole zodiac sign. I tend to do that as well. I don't know, I'm just into like this mystical stuff, magical stuff, and I feel like a lot of females are into, you know, painting a picture of what can potentially be there, whether doable or not, but
Do you think it gives false expectations?
definitely.
So why
Definitely.
do it?
I don't know. It's just about something about having hope. You know what I mean? Something about having something that you can reach for, that you can have, you know, look forward to, have faith in.
I like that she said that. That was really good. I thought about what she just said there for a second. And I really appreciate what she said because it's true. So she's saying it's like a hope. So you follow these things because you want something, and this sounds reasonable. Many of the astrology signs and the assessments of the different astrology signs sound reasonable, and they often do. I won't disagree with that. When you hear about things, but I always say anybody can make up something and describe, and it would make sense to a lot of people, the description of those things. So I don't know, but I definitely agree with what she said. It gives hope. And with that hope, it gives people the opportunity to be motivated to find someone out there for relationships, because they see these things and it tells them that they can have success in various things, loves, business, and other areas of personal life. So why not if it motivates you to do the right thing? Okay, so let's go back to wrong screen, go back to the video.
Because they believe in astrology. They believe in the planets. They believe in the crystals. They believe in the science. And you know what? Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
I agree.
Do you think it gives false expectations?
I 100% believe it gives false expectations
I agree.
because everyone says the sign, the crystal gives this energy, the sign gives this momentum. No, it doesn't. It's all right here in your head. It's belief. It's what you believe you shall receive.
Yeah, that's what they call manifestation, or manifesting more specifically, I believe that people call it. So manifesting, you speak things into existence. But the problem with that is, if that was the case, there's not 99% effectiveness. You know, there's a level of, I guess you would say the odds seem favorable. But I mean, if you said a lot of things with other topics, that you'd get the same result. So we'll see.
Why, when you're single, you long for a relationship, but when you're in a relationship, you long for your freedom?
Good question. You long for your freedom. I would have to say, now in these days, in this generation, people get so insecure when it comes to social media.
Because you have something and you're like, oh, I want that. And then you have it and you're like, no, I want that. If that makes sense. You want what you don't have.
Is it human nature to never be satisfied?
I think so, yes. Because it's like, once you get something that you want more. So you're never fully satisfied for it.
So let's stop there for a second. Is that true? Are people never satisfied? I would say yes and no. There are some people who understand it's like money. If how you view money determines how your approach to money is. So there are some people who look at money as a necessity to survive, to pay bills, to live comfortably, to be able to enjoy life. And some people look at money as a tool of happiness. Now, we know that deriving your happiness from material things or another person is very unhealthy. So the same thing with relationships. Can you be satisfied with a relationship? Well, it depends on what your expectations of a relationship is. So if you see things a specific way, then of course, if you're looking specifically for those things and they're not delivered, then you're not satisfied. But if you have limited expectations, but you really just look to see what somebody can bring to you, depending on how your expectations are merited, then you may feel less unsatisfied, if that's even a way you can phrase something. More unsatisfied, less satisfied, more unsatisfied, who knows? But the truth of the matter is, it's all your approach to life. If your philosophy is conducive to you being appreciative of the things you have and not dwell on the things you don't have, you're more likely to be more satisfied than someone who wants a lot of things, and when they don't get it, they are unhappy. So you have to figure out which person you are. If it's unhealthy to be unsatisfied all the time, then you should think of changing your thought process and your approach to relationships. That's all I'm going to say about that.
It is human nature. I think as humans, we're constantly, corrupted by social media,
I
and
agree.
it tends to program us into thinking else.
Do you think social media is inherently bad or a symptom of a larger problem?
Social media can be good. It has its goods. It has its goods and bads. It's a good way to connect to people and learn from one another. But it can be very toxic and bad with the programming and the beauty when it comes to beauty. And yeah, it's bad for the society sometimes, I believe.
Is it human nature to never be satisfied?
Yes. It's because Instagram.
Yeah.
Because everybody's looking
everyone
at
has
comparing themselves.
Yeah, everyone has like fake expectations.
Yeah, these
so-
expectations are crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the top 3 questions to ask when getting to know a potential love interest?
So I want to pause it there before they go on to that next question, and to respond to the 2 ladies and the guy previously before them. Social media definitely has some positives, but in the positives, there are many negatives that take away from the positives of social media. And I would say social media is extremely dangerous for many reasons. And the top main reason is the distraction that social media brings to people who already have trouble paying attention to mates, husbands, wives, children sometimes. Here's the deal. So with social media, you just have access to a lot of people. And in relationships, whether it's marriage, boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, whatever it is, you have people at your feet trying to talk to you, available to be spoken to. If you have resources and you're a man, well, then you have the ability to attract people through your status. And that can be very troublesome because if you have a relationship that, again, we talked about previously about being satisfied, that you're not satisfied with, it's very easy to entertain yourself with other people at the drop of a dime through social media. You can contact people. You can send them voice messages, pictures, videos. You can chat with them. You can call them through your messenger, and you can establish relationships that way. So that's a big problem because before social media, you really had to invest in relationships. Now you can have several at one time because people may not know right away. If you're not publicizing relationships on your social media, Twitter, Facebook, all those things, then you could easily have a few boyfriends, a few girlfriends, depending on the countries, maybe a few husbands or wives. So yeah, so say Facebook, social media, not Facebook. It's very dangerous and very, I would say that has a negative connotation on relationships and the healthiness of them. I think personal relationships have become very unhealthy, especially with the problem with social media is interpretation of text. And what does that mean? When I send someone a message, because it's written, there's an interpretation of what the sentiment is. And the problem with that is when people are assuming things, they often don't clarify. They don't fact check. They don't want to know the facts. They're stuck on what they think and how they feel about what was being said. And that's very toxic and dangerous as well. But let's get back to these ladies.
What are questions to
What do
ask?
you do?
Yeah, what do you do for work?
What
How
do you
much
do for
money
work?
do you make?
Why do you think that would be the number one question?
Because we gotta know if we're gonna be with
Because
a book.
me and her, we make some money. So you gotta
we make some money. So you gotta add it up. I want an equal.
Yeah,
I want equal.
or you can make
Or it's
more.
either you're a boss to have a lead, or you 2 bosses, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is it in the age of independent women, a man's value is often determined by what he provides?
Because I kind of feel like men were put on this earth to provide, were they not?
Yeah, ain't that the
Ain't that in the Bible?
So
Ain't
what
that in
we're
the Bible?
okay.
Wow, these ladies out here looking like that, talking about the Bible, I find that to be very interesting. So, there's a slippery slope with that situation when you talk about money and things like that. So the man is supposed to provide. Okay, we got that. The man is supposed to provide. But here's the thing. If you're pushing yourself to make high income where not a lot of people, excuse me, not a lot of people make money. That's this thing called about 10%, 1%. Those people are in short numbers. So if you're looking for somebody like that, that's a whole different type of lifestyle that we're speaking of. And here's the thing, a lot of people want that kind of lifestyle. And if there's very little people at that level, that becomes an issue. Now, that's not necessarily what they bring up here, but I'm bringing it up because you want somebody that makes $100,000, you make $100,000. If a lot of women want people making $100,000, what do you think is going to happen? And what do you think a bad guy making $100,000 is going to figure out? He's going to figure out he's going to have an advantage here because women are interested in the high earner. Most likely they're willing to deal with the guy and not question the circumstances behind him, his relationship status, whether he's single or married or in a relationship. And if they do and he lies about it, 9 times out of 10, they won't immediately investigate that, depending on the character of the guy and how he comes off to them. So, yeah, let's see what else they're saying.
Hey, what were women put on this earth to do?
To make babies. Coochie.
Yeah, we're supposed to make babies, sit at home,
Coochie?
and spend the money.
But we work. We're smart,
We
educated.
work,
women.
but you know.
But do we want to?
No.
Okay. Do you know more
At least
people who
they're
enjoy
honest.
dating or who complain about dating?
Complain.
Why?
Complain about dating. Because usually the person that they're in a relationship with, they're like not loyal or just like doesn't commit to what they really actually want.
Why is it when you're single, you want to be in a relationship, and when you're in a relationship, you long for your freedom?
Well, I'm going to say it once again. In addition to that, because one of the reasons people is because they don't know how to pick someone. They don't know how to choose. They don't know how to meet people. And that was a discussion I was having with some ladies that I know. You know, I have male conversations too, but the difference is, that was popping. The difference between the men and the women argue the points and the men tend to agree from a male perspective. But when you tell the male perspective to the women, at least the women that I know, most of them disagree with it because it puts them in the wrong. And one of the issues that was having, I was talking to someone that I know, friend of mine, you know, and several associates. I won't say they're all friends, but people that I know. We have this discussion, and it's weird how it's basically the same thing. So one of the things we were talking about is communication. And in the world of text, so I was like, what is appropriate communication for text messaging? Because I said, me, myself, if I was talking to a woman, I would expect the same kind of courtesy on a text message that we would have on the phone. And what I meant by that is if I'm having a conversation with you, that I expect when you're finished with the conversation or you're unavailable to talk, that you would inform me, not just stop talking and then we answer a question whenever you felt like it. But of course, the consensus from the ladies was that it didn't matter. And I'm like, how is that? So I'll give you a perfect example. I was having a conversation and this is what we were talking about. So this particular person said, depends on the person's circumstances. Some factors should be considered before making the determination. The level of relationship, job and household responsibilities, and so on and so on. So my response to that is, while you're having a conversation, it doesn't take but a moment to say you're onto an obligation. If you're busy, you're busy. You can't talk, you can't talk, just like you would do on this telephone. If you have to get off the phone on the telephone, you're not just going to hang up because you got other stuff to do. You're going to be like, well, I got to go make dinner. I got to do this. I got to do that. I'll talk to you later. And a text message, if that's your soul, you know, in this day and age, a lot of young people almost solely use voice messages or text messages to relay information back and forth to each other, conversations more specifically. So that is my point. If you're meeting someone, you're talking to them and they don't have that level of courtesy, how does that manifest itself in a relationship? If you're already starting on shaky foundation, where it's like, yeah, I'll talk to them later. Yeah, whatever. Okay, bye. But you don't relay that to a person. I just don't get that. And everywhere in the world, communication is you are accountable for your whereabouts. Not saying that you're enslaving to somebody, but you at least give them the courtesy. I'm going to bed. I'm getting off the phone. I mean, whatever. I'm going to take a shower. It's just common courtesy. You shouldn't have somebody sitting there talking to you, waiting for you to respond, and then you respond 6 hours later, a day later, 3 months. I had a friend like that, Lily, and she was like that. She would, and it was annoying, and I really just had to stop communicating with her, because she would talk to me when she wanted to talk to me, and then she wouldn't talk to me at all. And it wasn't even a day that it would take. Sometimes it would be never. And maybe 6 months from now, I would send a message and maybe she'll get back to me. But here's the thing that she did that I thought was kind of interesting. Almost several months later, she was having some type of disagreement with someone, and the person insulted her. And because she wanted clarification on this debate in which she was insulted by a person, she contacted me and decided she wanted to call me to ask me to kind of, I don't want to say referee, but speak some clarity on a point that she was trying to make. And I did that. So she called me. She was upset. I don't know what the nature of the debate was, but it seemed like she was very upset that the way that the guy spoke to her. So she called me for clarification. I gave her the clarification. And then she said, I'll call you back. Never called me back, and kind of didn't write me back at all. And, those things are very disturbing. I don't know who does that. I don't require people I'm not involved with to talk to me 24/7 or regularly every day. But oh my goodness, please, if I'm responding to you in a reasonable amount of time, get back to me. If this is just a loose discussion or loose communication. But I don't expect that if I like somebody or I'm close to somebody that I'm friends with, or, a situation like that, or trying to get involved with that person, or I like that person and we're trying to see where this goes. Those things are unacceptable to me. If we're active in each other's lives, those things are unacceptable. If we're distant friends or we're acquaintances that don't communicate very often, then do what you do. So that's the difference for me. I don't know if I'm off with that. I don't feel that I'm off, and common sense tells me that I'm not. So I'm just going to stand firm to that and then continue with this video.
I guess because when you're single, you're just like lonely. And then when you're in a relationship, it's like once you're in a relationship and you actually understand the person that you're with, you actually might get annoyed by the person. That's why you need to become friends with the person first.
Agree
and
with that.
then
or at least friendly.
To be into a relationship.
Okay, but then what about that dreaded friend zone that a lot of guys complain about getting stuck in?
So the friend zone, I don't want to interrupt this every 30 seconds, but yeah, the friend zone, that's a misconception of how that happens. It's not that men and women are friends first, and then it's that the intention for men and women was never to be past friends. That's the reality of the friend zone. If you like someone and you're becoming friends with them, you're not necessarily becoming friends with them. You're just being friendly with them. We just have a habit in this world and in this society to label everything. So when we meet someone, a lot of times we'll say they are our friends, but there's a romantic interest. So we're actually proceeding past the friendship, but we're starting off on the ground level, which is friendly, not necessarily friends, but friendly. We classify that as friends because what happens after that when you solidify the relationship? Most of the people call them boyfriends and girlfriends. But in the beginning, we just say they're friends because we love to label things. And that's what we label people when we meet them, because there's no better classification. You can't say, who is it? Yeah, that's my friend. No, you take them home. Oh, here's my friend, so-and-so. Not, oh, this is a guy I'm thinking about talking to, maybe having sex with, or maybe having a relationship with. It's kind of awkward to say. So friends is an easy classification for people, but I disagree, because the friend zone is one thing, and being friendly, calling yourself friends to proceed past friendship is a different beast in itself. So I just wanted to make that point.
I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you.
Well, okay, but I'm just saying a lot of people say you should be friends first, and I'm saying, shouldn't you establish some kind of sexual interest right off the bat?
Yeah.
No,
I don't want to say sexual interest, but of course we are attracted to people by arousal. So sexual tension is natural. I'm not saying that I condone people using sexual energy to meet people, but yeah, there's a physical and a adrenaline act to it, because when someone is attracted to you, you have all these feelings towards them, and they're more so emotionally driven and physically driven according to how your body, your pheromones react to the person, and if you're aroused by them or not. And that's what comes down to the friend zone. If a person is aroused, mostly women are aroused by men, then it can become romantic. But if a woman is not aroused by a man, then it's most likely to become friend zone. And that's almost always happened. I've never seen a situation where it wasn't like that, where a woman was physically attracted to a man and didn't want to proceed to a relationship. That's very rare. So there are some situations where it doesn't happen. And those are specific instances in a person's life where they're very hesitant in getting relationships because they've had horrible relationships with other people.
I don't think so. I feel like you should know the person like first. Like you should understand what their character is and how they move. I don't think you should just go right towards sex.
The sex, it's always going to be there. I'm 33. Whenever I'm 43, we're going to have sex. Whenever I'm 53, we're going to have sex. Whenever I'm 63, we're going to have sex.
Is there a difference between the dating advice that men get versus the dating advice that women get?
Yeah.
What is the difference?
They have nice
Girls
teeth,
are
by
like,
the way.
oh, like let's settle down, like blah, blah, blah. And guys are like, okay, just hit and then go. Like literally. That's the advice.
So basically, men teach each other how to get laid, and women teach each other how to get relationships.
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting. So then,
False, but I'll let them talk a little bit more.
and doesn't that prove that men and women have different goals in dating?
Yeah, like 100%. Like mostly speaking, like definitely some people
There's
are different,
definitely some,
but
like,
good guys,
but
for sure.
yeah, a lot of
Is it harder for a man to get the woman he wants into bed, or for a woman to get the man she wants to commit?
Women to commit, that one.
Yeah,
I think so. In my personal experience.
So you think it's harder? So you think
experience.
it's harder for women to get men to commit?
Yeah, personal experience. Yeah.
But don't women typically expect a man to commit before she's willing to give him sex?
Not always.
Depends.
Not always.
changing.
Times are changing.
It used
Yeah.
to, yes. Now
it's like you can like people just sleep
it's
with
quite
whoever.
easier.
Well, people say to me like now it's like a hookup culture, but doesn't that typically only apply to the right men, not all men?
That's correct. That's
Well,
correct.
pretty
Yes.
much all men, but probably
No.
I guess maybe there's some good ones out there.
No.
You know, if you know any, like let me know.
So I'm definitely going to stop it there. And this is taking a lot longer than I thought it would to react to these comments. So here's the thing with that interaction there. So they're a little confused by what's happening between men and women. Yes, a lot of objectives of men is to have sex, but it is not the objective of most men to have sex and to leave the woman. That's a minor amount. It is a smaller amount than the general arena of men, the general field of men to want to hit and quit. There's a certain amount of guys that do that. And those typically tend to be the guys that can get those young ladies right there. So that is the issue. The issue is not that men just want to have sex and they want to leave women and go to the next one. The truth of the matter is most men cannot do that. Most men cannot just have sex with a woman, leave her and go to the next woman. It takes a lot of effort to even get the one for the average man. There's a small percentage. Well, it doesn't appear small because in the grand scheme of things, it's a lot of people. 20% is a lot. 20 men out of 100 men is when you look at the number itself, it doesn't seem like a lot, but that 20 men is still a lot of men. And you multiply that by 10 out of 20 out of every 100 men. When you get to 1 million, that's 200,000. So that's not a small number. But when you compare that to how many men are getting with a lot of women, then that is a small number. So the majority of guys cannot do these things. They cannot hit and quit and move on to the next woman. They can barely sometimes get the one, the two, the three, the four, or the five that they've ever been with in their whole lives. So yes, the objective of pretty much every man is going to be sex. Not all. Some guys, they have other priorities in sex, but that's here nor there. Neither here nor there, of course. But there's a small amount that look to get as much as they can, and then the others get what they can. Chris Rock said it best. He said, men are only as faithful as their options, and some men do not have all those options. So they sort of live with the options that they have. And I'm sure maybe if they could get more, many would, but they're not faced with those circumstances. So they stay to what they can have. And that's what they end up with. Women, different story, but that's not the question.
I'm looking. Like I'm Mr. Face.
All right, how about this? If you happen to be looking for a quality man, where would you expect to find one?
Like school, I think is a good one because they're like focused and driven.
They have goals.
They have goals
Hell
like
of
in life.
goals.
Like that would be good, I think.
Good guy. You're always looking for the good guy. You know,
Yeah, I think it's a
the perfect Prince Charming.
So doesn't that prove that men and women have different goals in dating?
Yeah.
yeah. I think
Bottom line, yeah.
yeah. I think we definitely have different goals in what we do.
If either of you were looking for a quality man, where would you expect to find one?
I don't know.
I would definitely say the gym or church for me.
Maybe church.
I would probably say church, or like I think a grocery store would be prime.
I think a lot of the dating advice nowadays is find a man who's rich,
Yes.
and that's gonna spoil you.
Yes.
That's all I hear from women nowadays.
Yes,
Working
a lot.
for the club scene. But when it comes to men, I would honestly have to say focus on yourself, work on building an empire for yourself, and then settle down
Yes.
for a woman.
Yes.
Because most of these ladies, especially in Hollywood, California, or in Vegas, you find a woman and
Miami,
they're most
New
likely
York.
just gonna want to go for you for your money, and not because of love.
A lot of women now, as of right now, they're looking for a guy that's established so they could tie themselves to his success.
Because women are hypergamous in nature.
Yes.
They always aim for high status individuals and they want to live a higher lifestyle.
Why are so many women obsessed with collecting expensive shoes and handbags?
Hypergamous nature. Men are success objects. Women are beauty objects.
Before social media, everything was like more genuine, and then you could get to know a person better. But right now we have apps like Tinder and shit like that, and it's like, oh, you want to fuck, yes or
Excuse the
no,
cursing.
and then it turns into that, and then it never becomes into a relationship. And because it starts like that, I feel like it turns into these toxic, like dumb relationships, I guess.
Yeah, because the thing with those Tinder, Plenty of Fish, and apps like that, you ladies tend to, whatever the swipe is to get the attraction or to make the match, swipe right, I think it is. Those tend to be the guys that are not looking for real relationships. Again, going back to the two ladies talking about church, the grocery store, and then things like that. Truth of the matter is, most women are not looking for men that way. They can find them if they want it, but they're not looking for that. They're looking for the Tinder specials that all the women are swiping right on. So what happens when all the women swipe right or agree that the guy's attractive and want to give him a try? He tends to take advantage of the situation, and then you have these so-called dumb and toxic relationships. And that's really what it boils down to tell you the truth.
Not like realistic.
Do you think that dating apps have killed romance?
Absolutely. Yes.
I don't want to say yes, but I feel like it has more towards that way than actually creating romance. I feel like it's kind of hard to find romance through social media because I feel like it's all very fake in a way.
Well, here's the thing, and I want to stop it there. And this is what the problem is with relationships. They're sex driven. So of course, and this is not a whole talk on philosophy about sex, but when you have relationships that are based on the sex, then it becomes very difficult to involve love in the relationship because it's based around sex and sexual satisfaction. I don't know what satisfaction is, but sexual satisfaction. If the more satisfied you are physically with the person, the more you're going to feel in love with the person. The less you're satisfied with the person, there's going to be some strains. And if the person is not providing satisfaction for you in other areas, then definitely there's going to be a strain on emotion. But previously, before society was extremely sexualized compared to now, like when I remember in the 80s, everything was a romance and love. You had a boyfriend, you spent time, and time went by, you fell in love. A lot of times, although I'm not sitting up here endorsing any kind of sexual lifestyle, but sex was involved as a benefit of being in love or having a deep emotional tie to the person that you are with. If you had an emotional connection with someone, many times it led to a sexual relationship because this is how you showed your love or your devotion to a man or a woman. So that's what happened in the past. It doesn't work that way anymore because everybody needs to be sexually satisfied. And here we are today waiting to be satisfied, not only financially, socially, materially, but also sexually. So that's my point on that.
In today's society, you got Bumble, you got Tinder, you got Plenty of Fish. You can match with the girl on a Wednesday and get her in bed on a Friday.
But doesn't that typically only apply to F-boys?
No.
Yes,
no,
it
doesn't.
That's
you
false.
don't even have to try.
That's false. So you have to be appealing. A woman is not going to pick any old guy. And how do I know that? Because I know a lot of plenty old guys, any old guy, not plenty of any old guys. So the guys that can't get women, forget about Tinder, Bumble, all that. They're just at home doing whatever. And if they can find a date, they'll get one. Most of the time, they're just to themselves because dating is very difficult, even on these apps. And then the only women that they can get are, of course, not very appealing to them or anyone for that part. So that's usually what happens. Woman average or attractive is not interested in a man that's average. They're interested in a man that's attractive. Now, a woman that is average can get an average man and may be able to get an attractive man, depending on the way that she interacts with the man, but it doesn't usually work in reverse. An average man has an extreme outside shot at getting an attractive woman. Not saying it's possible, but it's a disadvantage. So this guy doesn't know what he's talking about because he's probably the guy that gets women to go out with him. So of course, when you're looking at it from there, you don't really talk to the guys that can't get. I mean, I would say if I was on that app, I probably wouldn't be as successful as this guy because of the dynamics of dating apps. But certainly he probably, because of his demographic, what kind of women he's interested in, he's probably dealing with white women. Of course, white women a lot more social when it comes to dating. So he probably has a better chance. I myself probably couldn't get a lot of white women. Just being honest, it's very difficult, because the socialization between different cultures is just not that fluid. So of course he's already in that culture and he will probably be able to communicate with them to establish a relationship. Then you'll be able to get a connection with somebody, but that's not for everyone.
You can say, hey, let's go on a date this Friday. I'll take you out to sushi. Let's get some sake in us, and before you know it, she's at your house and you're getting it on.
Don't women typically make a man wait or commit before she'll give him sex?
No, 100% don't.
So that's, of course, based on his anecdotal, that's not the norm at all. And as I tell you, I know that because I know a lot of guys that don't get that and they try. So, yeah.
The ones that say, if a woman tells you, I'm not giving it to you the first night, she's going to give it to you the first night. Generally, the women that give it to you the first night, they're better to date. The woman that wants you to work for it, they're going to be a pain in the ass later.
What does a woman have to do to get commitment?
Have sex with you on the first date.
What does a man have to do to get sex?
Nothing. Just take him on a date.
What does a woman have to do to get
not
commitment?
True.
Not like withhold sex, but or I don't know, if you really click with a person, I think a commitment will just happen.
But yes, withhold sex.
But withhold sex.
Okay, and what does a man have to do to get a woman into bed?
Commitment. I don't know. Or like.
That is also not true.
The same. Maybe like.
So then she gets what she wants first, right?
Yeah, we come first.
We try.
We come
We
first.
try.
I think so, yeah.
Except in bed, then men come first. I don't know.
Yeah, except in bed, then men will come first.
Some women not at all.
Honestly, I don't think you could do shit to get
I don't
commitment.
think, no, yeah.
It has to be the man.
We
If
come across
he's-
people who cheat all the time. Yeah.
Okay, and what does a man have to do to get sex?
Something nice.
Why does a man typically have to be the first one to give?
Because that's what you're here. You missed the part about it's in the Bible that it says men are here to provide. I am bisexual. You might buy me something, I might get sexual.
How should a guy know if a girl
makes
genuinely likes him or if she just wants attention?
Okay, that's a great question. Easily, if you have to spend money on a woman, she's not the one. If you can go hang out with her and just spend quality time, that's a wonderful woman.
And I'll agree with that because I was in a situation like that many years ago. I met this woman. I liked her. She's very beautiful, very smart, very elegant. You know, something a lot of men liked. Someone, not something. A woman that many men like. So I liked her as well, and we dated. But the problem with the dating was she just wanted to keep going out. She didn't want to have a relationship. She just wanted to date. And so I figured that out after a while because I was a little taken by her. So I tend to ignore the flags that were waving in my face. And then eventually we disconnected for a little bit and then we reconnected. And then when we reconnected, I noticed he started it back up. But I was like, at that point, why are we still dating? You know, we're talking and stuff like that. Why are we still going out on dates? So I figured I would test her. I said, I'm going to give her a little test. What I did was she wanted to go to some fancy spot. I didn't want to go to a fancy spot. I told her, let's go sit down in a diner or a coffee shop and sit down. I haven't had a real chance of talking to you about yourself, see what's going on with you in the inside. And if we go to I'm about to sneeze. Excuse me. So I was about to, I told her I wanted to really catch up with how she's grown and matured since the last time we've been out. And so she says, yeah, okay, that sounds like a good idea. But of course, she had no intention of that. She was just shutting me up. So a few days later, she sends me a message. She says, oh, my friends, they told me about this spot that we should go to. So, of course, I'm a mess today. I don't know what's going on. So, of course, it was a trendy spending money spot. It wasn't going to be coffee, sit down, talk, have a conversation. It was going to be this. She had a good meal. She went home and nothing. So then I told her, you know what? That's okay. Let's try for another time because, this is not going to, it's not going to work this week. So I said, okay, let's try for something else. So what she did after that, she wanted to make me jealous. And then she sent a message to me pretending it was someone else and said, oh, well, my time freed up and what I had planned fell through and I'd rather be spending it with you anyway. So she was pretending like she was sending it to another man, sent it to me, and thought I was going to get upset. But to tell you the truth, at that point, I was already like, this is not going to work. I've been down this road before. She's just finessing me for free food or whatever she wanted. So I was okay with it. And I hadn't spoken to her since that time. So you got to just be aware of what's going on when you meet women. And if they're really interested in you, the date should be just because you want to do things with someone. It shouldn't be you're getting to that point. So you're dating someone, you should already know where you stand with them. They want to have a relationship or establish a relationship with you. But if you're just dating just to get to, first date is one thing. But if you're just dating just to figure out if the person likes you enough to get in a relationship with you, you're wasting your time. Because I always say hoops are for dogs and dolphins to jump through, not men. or women. I mean, that doesn't happen, but on a rare occasion, I guess it could happen, depending on the man. All right, let's go. Now, did it freeze on me? It sure enough did. Let's try that again.
I definitely know girls who like just want attention from guys.
It's hard
like,
to tell because it's really easily confused, I find. Because once they get attention, I don't even know when I want a relationship or
and
when I want attention.
Like the girls don't even know, and then you're like, oh, never mind. I was just bored or whatever.
Bored. Yeah.
Yeah, it was that or like box dyeing my hair. So like I don't know.
I guess just how much she puts into the relationship.
Yeah.
Like if she's like always like trying to like receive kind of,
but also
instead
like,
of like giving.
Yeah, but like if she has that much free time to like waste like on a guy, like don't go for her anyways.
I agree with that.
Women often use the expression "I'm worth it." What exactly does that mean?
That I'm worth the time, the effort, the arguments,
The money,
the toxic,
everything.
All
I'm
that.
worth
I'm worth all of
it.
that.
Why don't you typically hear men using that expression?
Because they're not worth it.
They're not. All they got
is dick and lies.
A wee wee.
A wee wee.
Why do so many women think they have the golden pussy when every woman has one?
Because some of them feel different. I heard they feel grainy on the
Yeah,
inside.
some of them
feel
ain't
grainy.
golden. Some of them ain't.
Some
They ain't got that wop.
They ain't got that wop. They got that dry stank.
Is there a difference between women who grew up with brothers versus women who grew up with sisters?
Yes. Yeah.
I think so.
I grew up with brother and she grew up with a sister. So I think we're very different.
And what's the difference?
Definitely. I think I'm more competitive.
Definitely.
And like more like assertive, definitely. Because I've had to like always like fight for like stuff.
I feel like sisters
Although you're
have
very
more
feisty.
yes.
Very feisty, this one.
Sisters have more like a on and off toxic relationship than brothers and sisters.
And then like that's what she looks for in like relationships. And then I look like for like the steady, like always there. Oh, that's really weird. I never realized that before.
Is it safe to assume women who had brothers will have a better understanding of men?
Yes.
Definitely. And I think
Depends
the same
on your relationship with your brother.
That's so true.
But yes.
And I think the same goes for guys, like guys who have sisters. Like understand like 100% better.
Understand women better.
Understand women better and
For
like how to
sure,
get what they
for sure.
or not like what the girls want and stuff like that. I think.
Well,
Definitely.
wouldn't that make them better dating prospects?
100%. 100%.
Boys with sisters.
Boys with sisters.
So shouldn't that be one of the first questions asked?
Oh, that's a really good. We're adding that to our questions.
You're giving us dating advice at this
honestly,
point.
It's zodiac signs and do you have sisters?
Zodiac signs.
And the
Definitely
top two
not.
right there.
I would definitely say one of them is what is your music taste? I feel like if we don't have the same music, it can kind of go.
I would say also music and then humor. Like if you're on that, not like the same sense of humor, we won't get along.
If they're family oriented, what do they have a passion for, and where do they see themselves in 5 years?
When it comes time to marriage, women get who they can, men get who they want.
Right, but when it comes to sex, women sleep with
Men get who they
can,
and women get who they want.
Right. So at the end of the day, can we agree that women are the gatekeepers of sex and men are the gatekeepers of commitment?
Hello, could you bring the word?
Yeah, exactly. You already.
Does that mean that men get the last laugh though?
Yeah, they do at the end.
For the most part.
Unless we marry like an old man. and we get the
Yeah,
last
like
laugh.
yeah.
And he
Honestly,
dies, I
it just
guess.
depends. If it's like genuine, usually they do. But, if
But
it's
also, I mean,
Yeah.
don't women typically make a man wait or commit before she'll give him sex?
It depends on how much money.
Honestly, no. Oh shit.
Depends on the man. It depends on the man. So the closer to average a man is, the more he's likely to wait. The more extravagant a man is, whether it's in looks, in finance, and status, women tend to not make men wait. And that's usually what it is. That's why celebrities, they can pick up women, and several women, sometimes at the same time, several within hours, within a night, within days, within weeks, because they are attracted to the fame, the status, the money as well, if they have. But sometimes you can have fame and no money and still get women. Happens, but that's usually the difference in those situations. Almost done.
Put it like this: if you want to rush into my pants, I'm gonna rush into your pockets.
Is it men's fault that gold diggers exist?
Yes.
Absolutely, yes, I think so.
Do men enable women's bad behavior?
Yes.
Sure, but I
Yes.
think that's also within our human nature. Like
It's within
just-
women's nature.
and men's nature though. For sure.
Is it women's fault that men are dogs?
No.
No.
Is it women's fault that men are dogs?
No.
No, that's just human nature, animal instinct.
Do women enable men's bad behavior?
No.
Yes.
No,
Fuck
they
yeah. Are you
tolerate.
kidding
No.
me?
They okay, let's stop it there. So it is not women's fault for men's bad behavior because women are not always aware. Now, if they're aware and they deal with these men, then I'm going to say yes. Well, sometimes men have bad behavior that women don't see because men tend to hide the bad qualities about them when they meet women. So in there, I'm going to say in certain circumstances, it is the woman's fault because sometimes they know the guys they're getting involved with and they still deal with the guy because they think they're going to be the difference maker, and they often are not. But then there are a lot of men that fall under that category of bad behavior, that they portray themselves to be this stand-up kind of guy and really aren't. And that's when I would say it is not the woman's fault because she's not asking the guy to deceive her. And that's what I would say about that. But on the flip side, it is absolutely the man's fault because men are, they're so thirsty and sometimes so desperate, they'll allow women to be knowingly any kind of way and accept it. That's not usually the normal with average everyday women with men, but it is a lot normal with men with women. A lot of men will accept anything, woman cheating on her mate, her boyfriend, her husband, and go along with it, don't cause any problems, could even know the guy, could be friends with him, could be related to him, allow themselves to get used, finessed, know they're getting used and finessed because they're not getting anything of value in return for doing these things for these women, and also allow themselves to be mistreated, allow women, anything that a woman does, men are supporting. Look at OnlyFans and Instagram and things like that. Guys are making women rich. All these YouTube channels that have women on there, scantily clad and looking sexy, as well as Instagram. There are plenty of people that are on there that are making bank because they're going viral, and these guys are supporting whatever they're doing, whether it's OnlyFans, whatever website, or paying them. I see all these women, they post their Cash App asking for lunch, and men are sending lunch and stuff like that. So yes, totally men on that side. Men need to behave better, but unfortunately they don't. There's always going to be some guy out there thirsty and willing to do anything to get a woman, even if they can't really get a woman, just to have them in the same room or just at the same table. Even if they don't go far, they're still willing to sell their souls. Anyway.
Kidding me?
By spitting
provocative clothing, they know exactly. Yeah, come on.
Do men and women enable each other's bad behavior?
Do men and women enable each other's bad behavior? To a degree, yeah, most definitely. We do enable each other.
Why are men more likely to be publicly shamed for being dogs than women are shamed for being gold diggers?
Because men are thirsty.
As of today, a lot of women is getting publicly shamed now.
Sometimes, yeah.
Why are men shamed for exercising their options, but women aren't?
That's a good
A lot
one.
of people is looking for a man with less confidence that don't know himself that well. He should definitely exercise his options.
Why are men more likely to be publicly shamed for being dogs than women are shamed for being gold diggers?
Because we live in a feminist society, and they live by the feminist narrative. Drop the mic.
Is it men's fault that gold diggers exist?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, stop that.
Do men enable women's bad behavior?
Yes.
Is it women's fault that men are dogs?
Yes and no and yes.
See, I agree with that.
Do women enable men's bad behavior?
Of course, we all enable each other's bad behavior, and it's getting worse.
Why are men more likely to be publicly shamed for being dogs than women are shamed for being gold diggers?
I don't agree that that's the case. I think men are rewarded for being dogs. Look at Charlie Sheen, Hugh Hefner. I mean, they're rewarded for being, but a woman who does the same thing as what?
I'm going to disagree with that because, again, it goes back to what I said before. It depends on who the person is. A celebrity, yes, but a regular person, no. And a regular person is dogging somebody out. No. Because everybody doesn't want to be with the average guy. But a celebrity, yes, because a lot of women want to be with celebrities. So I would say it depends on the man that you're discussing. So he got celebrities, but he didn't get him. He didn't get me. if I dog a woman out, she's getting on my case and probably telling all her friends and, don't talk to him. He's a dog. And no one's looking for me like that because I'm not a celebrity. I'm not flying you out all over the world to Dubai or wherever they take these women. So yeah, I think it just depends on, but I agree with most of the things that he said, especially this guy using a lot of wisdom there. Facts.
Shamed. So you get the point.
All right. So that's the end of that. I'm going to try to cut this before it goes to the next video. That was very good. Oh, what's going on there? All right. So we didn't want to go to that next video, cut it off. But yeah. So this was a very good video to react to. I hope everyone appreciated it. I would definitely like to say that I learned a lot from what a lot of people were talking about. And at this point, you know what time it is, and it's relationship braces. Bringing heart together, one heart at a time. Jim is not here, so I will offer my thoughts on the things that people should do when it comes to expectations. Here we go. All right, so here are my final thoughts. Here are my relationship braces. So I did talk earlier, there's certain things that we should do when we meet someone. The one thing is you have to set your boundaries, your morals, your expectations. I know that sounds weird to say expectations, but the things that are important to you in a relationship, you have to put them out there up front. And the reason why you have to put them out there is because if someone doesn't do the things that you're looking to be done in a relationship, you will spend time getting to involved with that person to only find out that that person is not the person you want or need in your life. It is very important to learn today, tomorrow, within a quick amount of time, who that person is and what they're willing to offer you, because you don't want to be with that person to find out they don't want to offer the things that makes a great relationship. Now, what makes a great relationship? Good attention, communication, loyalty, honesty, integrity. You want those things, because without those things, if you don't have that today, how do you get there to tomorrow? So you got to know what the important things are, and you got to stand by those. And they have to be realistic. It can't be about this guy has to be a millionaire, this woman has to have BBL or whatever it is that you think is short-term great, but long-term not. So when you meet someone, you have to get those things out of the way. You have to build a foundation for a relationship. Stop thinking about just sex. Stop thinking about material things. Just stop thinking only about what you see on the outside. Those things have value in many aspects, but the important things, what will really keep somebody with you long term, possible marriage, family, things like that. Those are the things you have to take care of right away. And with that being said, I don't even know why I put that music on. With that being said, I just want to thank everyone that tuned in. Those of you who are watching, wherever it is that you're watching and listening, I appreciate everything that you've done to support this show. Please continue to do so. With that being said, once again, this is Jonathan St. James, and the Truth is Still Straight podcast. Good night, all.